السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا. Welcome, guys. My name is Jack Zaman. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Last day of the year, guys. It's the 31st of December, and the new year is gonna start. Well, every country, every society has its own new year. But in the West, the new year starts on the 1st of January, and all those people who don't have birthdays, their birthdays are going to be on the 1st of January as well. Right, so usually, my name is Diakat Zaman. This is Roots of Knowledge. If you guys are not familiar with my channel, check out the videos I make. And on Saturdays and on Fridays, I have live streams where I try to answer some of your questions. Right, shall we start with your questions? Let's see what Curious Cat has to say as well. Okay, wa alaikum assalam. S Dudu, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. All right, so let's see if you guys got any questions lined up this week. Wa alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan, Shayma Khan. Alhamdulillah, I'm very good, thank you very much. How are you? How are you enjoying America? The nice weather in America. Has the weather improved in America? Is it safe to now drive cars and travel around? Because I was listening to the news and they were saying that some states have actually banned driving. So I don't know. I mean, we've never had a ban on driving in the UK because of weather. Hassan Khan, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome, my brother. All right, so I've got my tea, guys. My tea today is ginger tea. Actually, let me go on Instagram. All right, how do you do this? Okay, Insta live. QnA. QnA. QnA Saturday. Okay, so all right. Zed Melo, ahlan wa sahlan, wa alaikum assalam, my brother. I hope you're well, enjoying yourself. Her soul, wa alaikum assalam, what a name. Her soul. Ruhuha. Shayma Khan, good is here, fine here, alhamdulillah. In Buffalo, it's still bad. Subhanallah. May Allah make it easy for them. Can a person convert to Shafi madhab to eat oyster? Just in general, though. So when it comes to the seafoods, yeah, when it comes to the seafoods, okay, how come this is not connecting? Checking connection. Yeah, when it comes to the seafoods, there's a kind of blurry area when it comes to prawns and these kind of things. Generally, I would say if there is, certain society that normally eats these kind of foods because other madhabs allow it, then there is room. There's no need to convert to a different madhab, right? A madhab you follow because a madhab is there to save you from falling into following your own whims and desires. But if there is like a blurry area in seafood, I would say you look at the society. If the society is normally eating that type of food, then I wouldn't see a problem in eating that. But as long as it's only to do with that seafood issue, and other madhabs are okay with it. When do you look into another madhab for fatwas? So you look into other madhabs for fatwas when it's difficult to be able to act upon the opinion in the madhab itself. So when it's difficult to be able to act upon the madhab within the Hanafi school, then you look into other madhabs. I don't know why this is not connecting. Let's try this again. Yeah. Can we use utensils that have been used for non-halal foods in the past? As long as they've been washed thoroughly, then it's fine. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, AC. Okay, something seems to be wrong with Instagram. No idea why. Let's see if it's a general problem. No, this seems to be with my Instagram. Okay, today I've actually made a what's the account? TikTok account, and I put a video on there. I'm just testing it out, see how. So if I can make small little videos, see how it works. So I don't know if it's going to be successful or not. Okay, so Insta doesn't seem to be working today. Unfortunately, Insta seems to be down. Maybe it's because of the end of the year. All right. Hope you are well. I have a relative who is actively looking to get married, but they keep on finding dead ends. I thought you said they keep on finding dead bodies. I was get scared there. Dead ends where things don't proceed further. I wanted to ask on their behalf if this could be due to sihr as a general question, but are there signs that a person can recognize sihr? So generally, when it comes to the matters of sihr, it's a serious thing. Like you can definitely tell, like it's really, really bad. It's not just it stops something from happening. You feel illnesses, you feel the body. So it's not just like sihr is not so nuanced that you can stop with sihr your computer coming on. I've never come across that kind of like sihr can stop the door opening or sihr can stop. Wallah alam. I'm not an expert in that field. Okay, Instagram doesn't seem to work. I'm trying a bit. So this is basically something which you have actually. Let me try Telegram. Let me try Telegram because I remember telling you guys there's Telegram. You can do live stream with Telegram. Start live stream. Will it work? Yeah. So that's the thing. So I don't think it would be if it was something serious to do with sihr. It's just something happens in nikahs when people are looking for spouses, trying to look for these kind of matters. Then it just happens, unfortunately. So I would say it shouldn't be anything to do with sihr. It's just some people have to go through multiple different rishtas, proposals. I wouldn't consider it to be sihr, any of that, unless there's some really serious like effects, symptoms that they can see. Is it correct to mention that the Prophet ﷺ would not have able to complete his mission without the assistance of his Sahaba? That's what the Quran says. What the Quran says, هو الذي أيدك بنصره وبالمؤمنين. Yeah, so it's like all of these things had to come together for the mission to be complete. It means like a jigsaw puzzle. He had to be from Mecca, he had to travel to Medina, he had to have had Sahaba, all of these things. Okay, let's try it once again. Let's see if it's going to work. All right. How can Islamic conventions be organized for gender segregation as some come with families and children? Does convention? So as long as you're not encouraging people to kiss and hold hands and do all these kind of things, then it's just like a public gathering in a park. So people know. So intermingling doesn't necessarily mean that they can't walk together, because on the streets people walk together. But the thing is, they have to respect. That's the idea. You leave it to them. They have to respect, just like when they go on a bus, they have to respect the seating and all of that. Yeah. So segregation does not mean they cannot walk next to each other, because that's what happens in society anyway. People don't you don't have a country where half the country only women walk on and half the country only men walk on. Yeah. So as long as there are measures in place, then it's fine. Like for example, in some Arab countries, they have like a line for women to queue up in a shop, and they have other lines for men. Taliban closed all female universities in Afghanistan. Can you give your opinion in the light of Islamic Sharia, please? I mean, it's fine if they want to close universities. It's not. See, the thing is, when we see Taliban, we think to ourselves, because it's the first time we're ever seeing people who are claiming to apply the Sharia, in a pure form. That's what they claim. Okay. So if, for example, they say, right, no one is allowed to drive a car that goes over 100 miles per hour. There's nothing in the Sharia that says driving a car over 100 miles per hour is not allowed. And if they were to say tomorrow that we're putting a curfew on everyone, no one is allowed to work after this time, There's nothing in Sharia to say that they can do this or they don't do this. It's up to them. It's like there's no categorical prohibition for this. So if they were to turn around and say we're going to close universities or we're not going to give university education to the women at the moment, that's their country. It's up to them. There's nothing in the Sharia to say women can't study. Nothing at all in the Sharia. No authentic narration about this. Yeah. So I think people in the West, because we've got it very easy in the West. We've got so many sort of like eases, right? That we can literally do anything we want. Like imagine this is the Sharia, the boundaries of Sharia. We can actually do things outside the boundaries of Sharia in the West. But because we're Muslims, we have to force ourselves to stay within those boundaries. Like we don't have anything external to limit us from doing these actions in our country. Now, when we see other Muslims' country becoming a bit strict on how, like, let's say they put restrictions, we find it difficult to accept, right? So let's say, for example, they decide to apply some sort of rules, then that's up to them. Just like some other Islamic countries, like Saudi has some rules regarding Umrah, regarding Hajj, or regarding anything else like that. Yeah. So again, it's up to them. It's not really something which we can really kind of say anything about. Yeah, I would say. And there's nothing categorically prohibiting what they're doing. Yeah. And we don't have to, like, why do we have to support or accept everything that the Taliban does? We don't have to, right? No, we shouldn't have to support what any Muslim or anyone does if it goes against the Sharia, right? So our principle, our template that we follow is the template of Allah and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, yeah, and obviously how it's been explained to us through the ulama, through the scholars. That's what ours is. So if we find a particular celebrity, a particular individual doing something wrong, we have to consider it to be wrong, right? And we don't have to adhere to it in all ways. Yeah, Allah. Right. What's up? Can you tell us about the part-time Alimiya course in Sufa as I'm considering enrolling? Yes, so the part-time Alimiya course in a Sufa runs the first year runs 2 days a week, and all the other years after that run 3 days a week. So it runs from 7:30 in the evening to 9:30, and in the first year you're going to learn Quranic Arabic, you're going to learn Sarf, you're going to learn Hadith, the 40 Hadith of Nawawi, or I think about half of them, and you're also going to be learning what else do you learn as well? Fiqh, right? So those are the 4 subjects in the first year, and then other years you're learning more advanced subjects as the years go by. Yeah. Is there anything specific that you wanted to ask? My British Pakistan Live YouTube channel. Okay, Salam Rona Hakim, Ahlan wa sahlan. Long time, my brother. Wrong time, Rona. Anjum, alaikum assalam. Would you recommend a newlywed couple to have a civil ceremony to register their marriage, or is a nikah enough? Nikah is enough, but I mean, the civil marriage or having like a marriage, a registered marriage in the country, like makes it more solid. It gives the woman more security. And the only thing about this is obviously you have to pay for that, and then you have to do like a separate ceremony to be recognized in the country. Yeah, but yeah, it's fine. In the UK, McDonald's use the same filter for the oil they use for fish and the oil for chicken because of the risk of cross-contamination of the oils. Is the fillet of fish? I would avoid it. If that's the case, I would avoid it because according to Hanafis anyway, it wouldn't be allowed. Yeah. But I don't know exactly the details of how they use the oil and to what extent do they filter the oil out, and are there any bits left from the food that they've prepared from the other. Okay, Ishal Charity Foundation, wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Help my needy communities. I mean, may Allah help all the needy communities around the world. I noticed that in Salah, the Imam deliberately stays in ruku longer for those who just come in. Is that okay? Yes. In the context of Islamic law, what is the ruling for governments to force women to wear hijab, like in Iran? Yes, it's up to them. They can do it. So basically, the government has been given power, like Allah says in the Quran. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger, and obey those who have authority amongst you. So those who have authority amongst you have the power to enforce like extra laws. So what I would suggest is study the history of the 4 Khulafa, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. What laws did they implement? So you'll see over there. So Umar, for example, he banned certain people from teaching. he set some sort of rules for market sellers that no one's allowed to buy and sell, no one's allowed to sell unless they knew the laws of selling and those kind of things. So it's forcing hijab or telling everyone to close their shops for salat, that's allowed. The government can do if they want. When do salah in congregation and the imam say Allahu Akbar or Sami Allahu liman hamida, do we have to repeat this? So according to Hanafis, we just say Rabbana lakal hamd. I noticed some members of the congregation do aloud and others. Yeah. So we just do it quietly, Hanafis. Okay, brother, you haven't read my message. Kindly source us donations, brother. I can't source you donations. You're gonna have to ask people for donations. I can't give you my donations. But I made dua for you, brother. That may Allah help you. Okay. Next, Hassan Khan. One doing so. Okay, that one. Naweed. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ahlan wa sahlan. Jazakumullah khair, my brother Naweed. Jazakallah khair for your kind du'as. Can I ask regarding your study journey, which age you began? I started at the age of 18. Okay, at the age of 18. Actually, I've actually got a video that I made, which will help you talk about my journey. Okay, so okay, here it is. So here you go, brother Naweed. So my journey to studying. No. Right. Is the part-time course online? No, not the part-time course. So would it be helpful for students trying to do college at university at the same time? So no, the part-time is online. Yeah. I mean, we have students who are in college and university doing the part-time course on site, obviously, and they are, alhamdulillah, getting on with it. But some of them, I mean, find it difficult because you have to remember. I mean, you're doing it yourself as well. You have to remember when studying Alimiya, you've got to dedicate a lot of time to preparation of the lesson and learning the lesson. That's probably the outside of class that's going to take up a lot of your time. Thank you for your answer. For the part-time course, how does it relate to the full course, as in how many years? It's about 8 to 9 years. Does one get the same qualification? So the qualification is a slight less than the full-time. The full-time qualification is the highest qualification, and the part-time is just slightly less than that. Meaning, if you qualify from the part-time and you do all the years and everything, you will be very good. You just have to brush up on everything. That's what it is. Yeah, you'd have to brush up. Like you study almost the same. The contact time is less. So in the full-time, contact time is about for every lesson, it's about 170 hours a year. 170 hours a year. Yeah. 170 lessons a year. And the part-time, every lesson, it's about 34 lessons a year. So you can see the difference. Contact time, but the years are extended in the part-time. Does the same qualification, can one transfer? Yes, you can transfer to the full-time, but you'll be assessed to see which level, which class you're able to go into. Also, how should I go about signing up for the part-time course? So if you go on Asufal's website, you'll find Heirs of the Scholars. Just go there, and then you can fill in the form. And the year starts in September. Abdul Wadud, do you teach one-to-one Arabic? I don't teach one-to-one Arabic, but I do have a course, pre-recorded course called the Quranic Arabic 17 Lessons. Lots of people have done this course, alhamdulillah. Many of them have started their journeys in learning Islamic sciences. So I would say that's probably the best place to start. Hamim, ahlan wa sahlan. If a person has a skull tattoo on their hand, are they required to cover it during salah? If it's difficult for them, then no, they don't have to. But if they can, then they should. Yeah, if they can cover it, then they should cover it. Is studying Western law and becoming a lawyer permissible? Yes. I wouldn't see any problem with it. Thank you. Pray for me. May Allah make things easy for you, brother Farhan. Zed Melor, wa alaikum assalam. So someone asked, how can we know which is the correct interpretation of the Quran, e.g., between the extremists, moderates, and different sects? Yes, so this is a good question. What I would suggest is, how can you know who is a good doctor? Exactly the same answer. How do you know who is a good doctor, who is a bad doctor? The only way that you can know is from word of mouth from other respectable people. That's the idea. And generally in your society, people would be able to gauge that. Yeah. So how would you know there's a good doctor? How would you know there's a good teacher? It's all from word of mouth and how people. I have been wondering why we don't have a Khalifa in our ummah. What's the reason behind it? Allah knows, my brother. Allah knows best. Is the prayer mat that has the Kaaba sacred and should be folded, cleaned? I've not come across that in the books. Wa alaikum assalam, Aman. If you sell a phone for a phone, does the exchange need to be hand in hand? No. Yeah, so the riba is not in these kind of items because the phone will be different. It's a different type and all that model. And okay. Okay, my British. What kind of tea are we drinking? We are drinking ginger tea. Ginger. Is the full-time course taught in Arabic in the last years? Full-time, no. But some of the lessons may be taught in Arabic, but not all of them. Most of the lessons will be taught. So it's all dependent upon the teacher, how comfortable the teacher feels in teaching in Arabic. What's the difference between the Quduri series on YouTube and the one on Uruk? So the one on Uruk is more like discussion. It's like a dars, like it's recording from a proper dars with other students. So there's questions there. And the one on the Mukhtasar Quduri one that I've done on the with the screen, that's got the drawings on there. Yeah, so it's got the drawings and it just basically expands on the text, explains the text. There's no like external questions or interaction with students. That's the difference between the two. They're almost the same. Almost the same. I mean, if I complete the entire, inshallah, when I complete the entire Quduri on my YouTube channel, then obviously a student would not need to watch those other videos. So if you've seen my Buyut series that I've done, I've done, I think about 30 lessons on Buyut. That's available on my YouTube channel. It's like that. Isn't being a lawyer ruling with other than Allah? No, I haven't come across that. Just heard of the Alamiya online. MashaAllah. Is this for women as well? Yes, that's for women as well. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam. No name. Yeah, so that's okay. Let's check out Curious Cat. Ya Allah. Okay, what is the ruling on non-Muslim women entering the mosque on the menses and non-Muslim man in state of major impurity for a visit? So for them, it is possible so long as they don't make masjid impure. Yeah, so as long as they don't make it impure, because the rules for them are different for the Nas. The Prophet ﷺ, he allowed Christians to enter the masjid, and there was no question about whether they were in a pure state or impure state. And the ruling with the menstruation person is the ruling is for themselves, as in they are the Muslims, the ones that abide by the law, they believe in the law. Zed Nisa, wa alaikum salam. How many rakat sunnah is there after the Jum'ah prayer? So according to the Hanafis, 4 and some say 6. Can I pray the 4 sunnah muakkada before Jum'ah, or do I pray the 4 and sunnah? So you have to. So the before ones are different and the after ones are different. Yeah, according to Hanafis, the before ones are different, after ones are different. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I intended nafal fast after Fajr and then I changed my mind and broke my fast 1 hour after. Do I make it that up? To my knowledge, for fast, you can change your intention before midday and break your fast and don't have to make up. So if you made a firm intention, if you made a firm intention after Fajr, then you need to repeat. Otherwise, if you were in two minds, then no. Yeah, so if you made a firm intention after Fajr, that it's like, Fajr started and then you thought yourself, that's it, 100%, I'm fasting now. Then you have to make it up. Okay, let's check some questions here. If you are an employee working from home where you can have a lot more freedom, can you do other things as long as the manager is okay? Yes, as long as they're okay with it, it's fine. Is reciting the Quran but not understanding anything still rewarding? Yes, because the Prophet ﷺ said so. Yeah, the Prophet said anyone who reads any letter of the Quran, it will be equal to 10 rewards. 9 to 5, but you have regular breaks. Yes, as long as the manager is happy with it, it's okay. MashaAllah, knowledge has been made so accessible now. Ignorance is a choice. Subhanallah, I like that statement. That's a good statement there. Is buying luxury clothing and spending money on fashion makruh or sign of arrogance? Not necessarily, no. If a person can afford it and it's not outside of their means, then it's possible. As long as they are not showing off to other people. How exactly do we go about increasing family ties? Oftentimes, I find myself spending a lot of time talking about dunya with family, and I use, yeah, that's fine. That's what's talking about dunya is not haram. It's fine to talk about dunya. Yeah, I talk about dunya so many times. Lots of scholars I know, they talk about dunya so many times. So talking about dunya is not wrong. In fact, Allah has told us in the Quran that the dua that we should ask Allah is about dunya. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. Crying to Allah every night, every day, hope me and you forgive our sins. Ameen. Like talking with my brother and sister, it's fine. See, the thing is, when people start practicing in the West and come from a totally non-practicing background, they have to learn Islam from scratch. Like they don't have any culture to support them. Whereas Muslims historically have been living in cultural societies, Muslim cultural societies. That's why they kind of understand how you're supposed to live as a Muslim, how you're supposed to walk as a Muslim or go to work as a Muslim, because the culture sort of helps that, facilitates it. Then when you work, it's like someone all of a sudden waking up and realizing about Islam, and then not knowing as a Muslim, how am I supposed to walk? As a Muslim, how am I supposed to talk to someone as a Muslim? Like they want to learn every little bit and they don't have a culture to facilitate them. Okay, next. This is okay. Bridge to eternity. So now, is it permissible to touch and read Mus'haf with English translation without wudu? If I do without wudu, and am I committing sin? So there's an ikhtilaf amongst this. I would say that there wouldn't be a sin. Also, brother Sheikh, do you not do a Q&A? Yes, this is a Q&A, my brother. Abdul Wadud, I send you videos regarding joining the prayer late, and I was asked if one has to make up prayer which were not prayed correctly. Okay, so I don't understand the question. If you can elaborate more on your question. So now I wanted to ask regarding food. If something contains crustaceans, so this is an ikhtilafi issue between Hanafis and others. Other madhabs allow it, Hanafis don't allow it. Can you please explain the before Sunnah and after Jum'ah? So on Fridays, according to Hanafis, there's a recommended Sunnah before the Jum'ah 4, and then after the Jum'ah, you pray 4, and then you pray 2. How many rakat Sunnah is there after Jum'ah prayer? Can I pray the 4 Sunnah Mu'akkada before Jum'ah? So I answer this one. So altogether, according to Hanafis, this Jum'ah is only 2 rakats with the Imam. But before the Jum'ah, you pray 4, and then after the Jum'ah, you pray 4 and 2. So 4, 2, 4, 2. Like that. Okay, no name. I think I'm gonna have to. You're just spamming everything. So if you don't cut down on your caps lock, I'm gonna have to just time you out. Okay. So for Muslim men, taking. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Gandalf the White. For Muslim men, is marrying the Christian and Jewish women still permissible in this day and age, where the past Christians no, the past Christians were not on pure Tawheed. Allah in the Quran says, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا. Allah calls the Christians kuffar. He calls the Jews kafaru. Yeah, so if Allah calls them in the Quran at that time, so yeah, a man is permitted to marry. However, there is an ikhtilaf among scholars about whether he's allowed to marry in the West. A lot of them say you're not allowed to marry Jews and Christians in the West because of the insecurity. Yeah, so the insecurity, so there's no security that the children are going to be brought up on Iman. But when people use this argument that early Christians were on Tawheed, they were not on Tawheed. That's why the Quran time and time says that the Christians say Isa is the son of God. Yeah, and the Jews say Uzair is the son of God. So what kind of Tawheed did they have then? Arabic is Suhail. Wa alaikum assalam. Yeah, I've started teaching Arabic. I'm teaching a book by Haywood. Students are generally finding it hard. In your experience, do students normally find learning? Okay, so it depends. I don't know how you're teaching it. So if you can tell me how you're teaching it, what the aims and objectives of your course are, how do you teach it, then I'll get some idea. When I teach, it depends what I'm teaching. So when I teach, I try to give as many examples as I can, and I get them to give lots of examples as well. All right, so I don't know if you've seen my Quranic Arabic 17 lessons. That's basically how I teach. Don't start off with too many rules. Too many rules, they just, overburden a person. You shout just because you don't mention Islam in a convo doesn't mean that it's a waste of time. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, is using a lot of water sinful and does it invalidate wudu? No, it doesn't. If it's overused for no reason, spilt just everywhere without a reason and wasting money, then it possibly will be. A person is impatient with others and reacts rudely to them. Is it better for him to isolate himself from others until he becomes more patient? I don't know. I mean, that person, you'd have to see the situation of that person. What are they exactly? Like, why are they impatient for? What's wrong? Have they got some mental issue? Have they got some medical problems? Have they got other problems they're going through in life? Like one's parents want child to interact with them more. So sometimes what happens is someone is impatient. They need to quickly get themselves why are they impatient for? What's the main cause for them being impatient? Has there been during the expansion of Islam expeditions or conquests of non-Muslim lands that were unprovoked? Yes, of course. Yeah. I'm a little confused that when someone comes late for Salah and catches the rakat but wouldn't ruin the flow of Salah. For example, someone catches the first rakat but the Imam is in second. I don't understand that. Explain more. I think as long as you're fulfilling this to okay. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam, Jundullah. Ahlan wa sahlan, my brother. I appreciate the quick fiqh videos. Jazakallah khair. Are you guys enjoying these small little videos of salat with my little colorful pieces of paper? These are colorful pieces of paper that I use. Yeah. So I'm just trying to experiment with this, see how it's working at the moment. If someone, this is Abdul Wadud, if someone did not know the correct way to complete a prayer when joining late, but now they know, do they make it up? So how did they do it before? If you can explain to me how they did it before, then maybe I can answer that. Okay, Khabib Nur Muhammad. He is a very good fighter, Muslim, very good religion. Sorry. Okay, Abid Hussein, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi. Are you? Alhamdulillah, very well. Thank you very much, my brother Abid. How are you? Then how do we justify that Islam is not spread by the sword? Okay, a good question. So look, let's look at this from how the West deals with problems in the world, oppression in the world. So if the West sees oppression in the world, what do the West do? So they attack, isn't it? So imagine the same concept in Islam, that if Islam sees that a society is being oppressive towards another village or another society, or a society is not allowing people to be able to see Islam, yeah, then the war will start. Yeah, they'll send their troops, just like you see nowadays, right? You'll see, like for example, America will do this. They will send their troops to around a particular country, and they will say, if you don't stop this, that we're gonna. And this is what they done in Afghanistan. This is what they literally done in Baghdad, Iraq. yeah, and many other countries as well. So, so making a preemptive attack, that's not an issue. Uh, Predominantly, the attack, the wars that were fought in the early part of Islam were defensive because the enemy attacked. But there were some which were preemptive, and these preemptive attacks were not there to force people to accept Islam. It was there to allow there to be conversation because these people were abusing their people. They were stopping them from seeing the truth of Islam. So therefore, there was a military intervention. So if you change the wording, people seem to find it okay. Like in the West today, they say things like, "Oh, this was to spread. This was to not spread democracy. This was to allow the country to be able to make their own decision." Like, we're not going to force them to accept. So it's the same kind of thing. If they allow it for this, then why can't Muslims allow it for that? Muslims never ever forced anyone to accept Islam. It wasn't like Christianity. Christianity literally forced people, like in Spain, they literally forced people to convert to Christianity or leave the country. And the same thing happened when the Christians conquistadors went to the Americas, and they forced people to accept Christianity, right? So Muslims historically never did that, at least in the early years anyway. And if some crazy Muslim leader did something like that, it wasn't condoned by anyone. Zaid Nisa, Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. I'm gonna try to make some more, but I need ideas. So if you guys give me ideas, then maybe inshallah I can think of how I'm gonna uh, plan the video. 1 minute videos are a bit difficult. I'm thinking of making them a bit longer. The only reason 1 minute ones I know is because people, they like quick and snappy. Okay, which Salah videos is it? YouTube Shorts, yes. Is it impermissible to leave a Muslim country for a non-Muslim country? My parents come from Bangladesh. Yes, you can leave as long as you can guarantee the safety of your deen. There was a guy who made a wudu 8 times and said, if I pass wind, then I will have 7 wudus. That sounds strange. To become mufti, how important is it to know usul fiqh? Very, I think. If you want to become a solid mufti, you need to know your usul fiqh. Example of one cause is ascribing words to him that he hasn't told, simply judging by his silence, and others overreacting to minor issues. Okay, yeah, I mean, if you look at the person, should look at their own situation. If they think, look, I'm being treated unfairly, then possibly isolating themselves might be a better. I mean, I don't know the situation. The situation could be many things. The book covers new rules with examples each chapter. So I think the rules is the thing. When you're learning a language, learning it, like if imagine you had to learn Japanese now, and you had to learn Japanese, start off Japanese with Japanese rules, with Japanese examples. Look how hard it's going to be. Very hard. So what's easier? Easier to first of all learn Japanese phrases. How would you say this in Japanese? How would you say this? How would you construct a sentence? How would you hold a conversation? Right? Understand what the text is saying, and then dive into the rules. That's probably, from my experience, the best way to go into learning a language. You first of all get them familiar with the language, get them comfortable with it, and then throw them. Because the Arabs say, النحو في الكلام كالملح في الطعام. Grammar rules should only be like salt in the food. That's it. But unfortunately, now what we do is we give the students so many grammar rules, and a lot of the Arabic books are not designed for non-Arab speakers. They're designed for Arab speakers, and we don't realize that. We think, oh, Arabs use it in their schools and universities, so we should use it. As it's such a difficult subject, all the kitabs are such Anur Anwar is very confusing. Yeah, I mean, on my Uruk, I've gone through Usul Shashi, I've gone through some of these Usul books. I definitely encourage people, if you haven't studied Usul Fiqh, to study my 28 lessons of Usul Fiqh on my Uruk. Sorry for the hypothetical question, but if a Muslim country was to invade US and the UK, does the Sharia require us to defend the UK as it's our land? I don't know. Good question. For example, first chapters covers Mubtada Khabar with examples, exercises. Yeah, I think it's the rule issue. It's the excessive rules. So my internet is laggy. No problem, my brother. So this is the excessive rules issue I mentioned. The letters are limited for me to fully explain the question for Salah. The letters are limited for me to fully explain. Can you tell us about Yusuf ibn Hajjaj? I know he's bad. So Yusuf ibn Hajjaj was basically a Quran teacher from Taif who saw a lot of sort of heavy-handedness by the you can almost say like the police of them days. So what he done was he decided to go to the Khalifa and speak to him. Eventually, he actually got a job with the Khalifa and he became a governor. So he became a governor of Makkah, but he was very sort of like heavy-handed himself. Like he was very strict in how he would apply the law to the people, to such an extent that he didn't differentiate between Sahabi, non-Sahabi, and this actually put him into a lot of problems because he just for any reason that he found justified in the Sharia, he would punish a person. So, Allah knows best what's going to happen to him because he was also responsible for a lot of good things as well that wouldn't. Like some say that even the harakat in the Quran, there was one stage that he was also responsible for that as well. But yeah, so where you could read about him. I mean, you could read about him in books like Siyar A'lam Nubala. So if you go to Siyar A'lam Nubala, there's or you go Tabaqat Ibn Sa'd. These are like the original sources. But I'm sure later on someone must have written about him. If you go into YouTube, you can even Google Hajjaj bin Yusuf. So Hajjaj bin, not Yusuf bin Hajjaj, Hajjaj bin Yusuf. Abdullah alaikum assalam. In one of your short videos related to praying behind Imam who is a traveler, you stated that the locals should complete the 2 rakats without reciting any surah yet. That's right. What should they be reading on these 2 remaining rakats? Nothing. So according to Hanafis, you don't read behind the Imam. No Quran behind the Imam. You just read the du'as and all that. So therefore, if you're behind the traveler Imam, when the Imam gives salam, you're considered to still be behind the Imam, even though he's finished. So just like if you were really behind the Imam, you wouldn't read Surah Fatiha and Surah. Likewise, you don't read behind. Does that make sense? Don't you have the guarantee the safety of the deen for your children too, like this? Yes, of course. Like the stuff they teach. And if you feel as though that is something which is going to cause you a problem, then you shouldn't move. Yeah. Hello, that's an interesting question. You're welcome. Maryam alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. I have a question. If a woman were to ask for a divorce, why would the woman need a judge regarding that favor and a man doesn't need one? If a woman were to ask for divorce, why would the woman need a judge? Okay, so basically, the rule is this: in Sharia, in Islam, divorce, the power of divorce has been solely given to the man. The man has the power of divorce. So what this means is that the man is in charge of issuing a divorce, and he has 3 chances. So he can give up to 3 divorces. After that, right, their marriage is totally over, and they can't marry each other again. However, does the woman have a right if she's being treated unfairly? Yes, but she doesn't have the right to issue a divorce. She has to go to court, just like in this country. Both man and woman cannot divorce each other without going to courts. So they have to go to a court, and like in this country, both parties have to get their divorce issued through a judge. They can't issue it verbally. But Islamically, the male can issue it verbally, but the woman gets hers done through the court. Yeah, because the court has to assess all factors. Because the man has been given the right to a divorce, the judge stands in place of, you can almost say, in place of that man when it comes to these matters. What should they be reading on these remaining 2 rakats? Nothing. I am not from Indo-Pak and I don't understand what is Belwi sect. Are they Bhati? No, Belwi sect are our Muslim brothers and sisters. They are simply from Indian subcontinent. And I've mentioned this about last week. So if you watch my last week live stream, I've actually gone into a bit of detail about history behind Deobandi and Belwi differences. What was the best thing about studying in Pakistan? Weather and the teachers. Yeah, mashallah. I was lucky enough to benefit from so many teachers, alhamdulillah. Example, joining the prayer in the last rakat and then sits with the imam. The imam completes and the follower stands to complete their prayer but doesn't sit after. Okay. I still haven't understood. Okay, if someone did not know the correct way. Okay, so I see that question. Example, join the imam in the last rakat and then sits with the Imam. The Imam completes and the follower stands to complete their prayer but doesn't sit after their first rakat. Yeah, then it's fine. Because there are some madhabs who actually allow that. So if you've done it in the past, then it's fine. But from now on, you should learn the way of that particular madhab that you follow. Does the 5 salat guarantee Jannah? Allah knows best. And do you think it's better to study back home for the institutes in the UK? It's up to you, wherever you feel comfortable and wherever you're happy. The main thing is wherever you're comfortable. Because you could go abroad and you're not comfortable there. Okay, is it classed as backbiting if you write something in a diary only for you to see? No, it's not. So is it better to teach a book like Arabiya Bain Yadayk? I wouldn't say Arabiya Bain Yadayk, but maybe you could sort of like formulate your own uh you know I don't know, preliminary sort of like lessons, introductory lessons you can have, and then you go into the rules. Or maybe you don't even have to teach that book you're teaching. Maybe you start with something else. Because I've seen this with a lot of Arabic rules. Arabic rules, people just do not like them. You will rarely find someone who loves Arabic rules from day one. And that's what I have you heard of the Shams al Ma'arif text by Ahmad al Bunni? Supposed to. No, I haven't. Zob, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rona Hakim. If a student will receive funding from the government if he opens a savings account, is it permissible to open it just to receive the government funding? As long as you don't lie to them, break any of their rules or anything like that, then I don't see a problem. And it does not contain any haram money. Can evil eye attach from a look of adoration with jealousy? Yes. Also, is it true that it's allowed to say that you will do something when you don't really have the intention to do it if you say inshallah? So if you lied, basically if you lied, then obviously then it's not allowed. Okay, as to the once upon a time, I heard you mention about a dream interpretation course. Is this still something planned? Yeah, we did it. Yeah, the dream interpretation course was done at Sofa on site. Alhamdulillah, it was very beneficial. I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, for zakat, if there is a family whose son, this is from Curious Cat, by the way. If there is a family whose son is from the Sayyids and the mother is not, could I give the zakat money to her even? Yes, you can. Yeah. Yes. If someone is praying and I tell them to pray slowly, would it break the prayer? No. Nikah is encouraged to take place in the masjid or during a busy time in the masjid. Why are non-mahram men present? Okay. The woman is not present in the masjid. So when they say nikah takes place in the masjid, it means the men. So the representative of the woman is going to be there. The woman is not present in the masjid, just the men from both families and a male representative. So when people say nikah takes place in the masjid, it doesn't mean that the women are going to be there. Basically, it means the men are normally there. If the women are there and there's obviously correct, precautions there of segregation, then it's fine. Is there any book that has compilations of all the difficult masalas and easy explained? I'm not sure, but I find books like Al-Fiqh Al-Hanafi wa Adillatuhu. Just write this in Arabic. Al-Hanafi Adillatuhu. Number 2. Arabic. Al-Fiqh. Okay, so Al-Fiqh Al-Hanafi fi thawbihi al-jadid, to be very useful. Okay. Okay. In the Hanbali madhab, it is outright haram for the parents to give uneven gifts to children, such as what is the Hanafi? It's permissible. According to Hanafis, it is permissible, but it's considered to be makruh tahrimi if it's going to hurt the other children. So if the other children are hurt by this, then it's fine. Then it's not fine. But if they're not going to be hurt by this, then it's fine. Where can I get updates of courses and stuff so I don't miss? I usually put it onto my Telegram. So if you go to my Telegram, let me just post it for you guys. Anyone who wants to join the Telegram, or I usually have my social media Telegram. Let's see. Okay. How do keep forgetting how to do this. Link copied. Okay, this is my Telegram link. Nope. It doesn't work. Okay, how does it work? Okay, this is it. Yeah. For anyone who wants to join my Telegram, where you get regular updates. All right. Okay, I'm assuming you've heard of an RESP account catered for students. A student will receive money annually just for having the account open. Is this okay as long as you don't add money as interest happens? So what exactly happens in an RESP account? No, I'm not familiar with the RESP account. What exactly happens? Is it wrong for ulama to not wear Islamic clothes everywhere outside? No, it's not wrong. What is your opinion of the Islamic country like Afghan having men around going around with guns? Now they are not in war. So in the past they didn't have guns, but they had swords, didn't they? So there were a lot of people that used to walk around. Like in America, they walk around with guns. People, there's many states that walk around with guns. So there's nothing wrong with walking around with a gun, as long as you obviously don't use it wrong. Or for them to have modern approach and have short back and sides too. There's no such thing as a modern approach. Yeah. As you mean, like in modern society, yeah, it's fine. Short back and sides is okay. There's nothing prohibited in the ayats in the Quran or Hadith or in the Hanafi madhab to say that short back and sides is not allowed. What's the difference between a qadi and a mufti? A qadi and a mufti are exactly the same. Only difference is qadi is appointed by the government to implement the law, and the mufti simply answers people's questions. Yeah, mufti simply just answers people's questions. Right. Okay, please post the Telegram. I don't know how to do it over here. So if someone does have the link and you can post it on the Instagram, please post it, because I can't seem to post it on here. That I can't seem to copy it. If I go out of this app, I'm gonna lose the. Alright, okay, what kind of hair oil do you use? I haven't used any hair oil for a while. I usually use baby oil or something like that. Did you provide certificate for your courses? Do you provide which courses? So for my Uruk ones, I don't. Cam, alaikum assalam, my brother Cam. Ahla wa sahlan, long time, my brother. Just a thought, I believe that exercise and diet is a vital part of one's life, but more so for students' knowledge, i.e., increasing energy, brain activity. Definitely, 100%. 100%, I agree with you, Cam. Definitely. Tomorrow I got a bike ride. So, regular exercise is very good for your skin, for your hair, for your muscles, for your brain, for your diet. There are so many benefits for regular exercise. Is there any short kitab that explains the meaning of Imam Abu Hanifa saying in my hadith goes against this? Yes. In fact, do you know Arabic? Yeah, there's several books that have been written on this. Uh, uh, Goes against. Yeah, okay. So here is a good article on this. So this is for if my statement goes against hadith. Yeah, this is a good one. Check this out. Okay, Abid Hussein, why do some ulama say it's wrong to have short back and sides? I think they basically say because a lot of them are from Indian subcontinent, and Indian subcontinent, because of the colonialism, there was a big push. There's a big push for not conforming with the colonizers. So that mentality now has come to the UK as well, right? And this is why a lot of them now look down upon anyone who does not wear the clothing or have the hair or imitates the haircut. Yeah, but anyway, there's nothing in the Hanafi school or anything to say that having short back and sides is not permissible. It says it's a savings account for students to bank their money specifically for educational purposes. The government also provides funding, so can the students. So how does the funding work? So when the government provides funding, where does that money come from? What is it based upon? Is it interest? So do they have to pay the money back to the government? Okay. Idris Shah, wa alaikum assalam, my brother. Ahlan wa sahlan, sanga halde. Khairiyat. Okay. Was it wrong for the Khalifa Muawiyah to be passing the Khalifa down to his son? Allah knows best. I teach students and just realized they are Salafi. Should I stop teaching them? No, no. Carry on teaching them. Alhamdulillah. Salafis are our brothers as well. Knowledge from ulama is like an ocean. Alhamdulillah. I'm looking for halal investment. Do you know any? So I invest with Wahid Invest. Wahid Invest. I've invested a little bit of money with them. But check out IFG. Check out IFG Halal Investments. IFG. And they have some good. Okay, no, it's grants on the account, but you get the grants for opening the savings account. So I mean, I'll have to look into it. So if you remind me in the week, I'll have a look around. If you have any sort of like articles on it or any information, because there might be certain clauses in the contracts that needs to be investigated. Which Shara of Abu Dawood do you benefit the most from? So I used to use Badal Majhood. Badal Majhood is probably the most beneficial I found. Then Ibn Raslan, and then also Aun al-Ma'bud's okay. It's not too fantastic. It's good, but usually I use other commentaries of other books to supplement. I haven't really found a very solid commentary of Abu Dawud that I would like. Yeah, I haven't really found one that I would like. But yeah, Badr Majhood is probably out of them. It's probably the most one that I used. So I taught a few years ago Abu Dawud, and I probably covered like I think half of Badr Majhood, half of it maybe. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Q. Ahlan wa sahlan. I'm very well, thank you very much. Do you like listening to any specific scholars for bayans and so on? Not really. I don't really kind of get much time to listen to bayans. You can just search up RSP and enforce your comprehension. Okay, inshallah. So this week, inshallah, I have a look, and the next week come, inshallah. You can say that again, Sheikh. The love I get from uncles at the masjid when I wear a shalwar kameez is just another level. When I wear tracks, you wear tracks with that's it. It's like you just like left the fold of Islam. Okay, let's check out some curious cat questions. Okay. Does pause of 3 subhanallahs in recitation of a sunnah or nafal require sajda sahu, or does it only apply to fard salat? Yes, it applies to sunnah and nafal too. The duration of pause should be about 10 seconds. No. How many seconds? Subhanallah. Subhanallah. About 8 seconds, I would say. Can we make dua in sujood during sunnah and nafal prayers in our own language? Okay, so yes, you can, so long as you only ask for what Allah can only give, like Jannah, save from the fire, barakah, mercy, forgiveness. Okay, if the Imam is a Musafir and the followers are Muqim, how do they fulfill? So I explained this one. Okay, let me just show him the video that I made. Okay. Okay. Okay, next, go back to this. How do you respond to Salafis who don't follow madhhabs but rather the most authentic opinion? Would we be sinful for following Abu Hanifa's opinions rather than authentic hadith? No, you won't be sinful. If you believe that this hadith is authentic and you have done rigorous checks, you won't be sinful for that. Yeah, you won't be sinful. I mean, again, this is all to do with how a person is following the Sharia. If a person is following the Sharia and that understanding of the Sharia is based upon their own desires, whatever they want to follow, then that's wrong. So following the madhab is the most safest way of following the Sharia. In the case of Muawiyah's son, shouldn't the person be a Khalif from Allah knows best, my brother? Look, if these kind of things have happened in the past, then Allah knows best what should have happened. For us to question who should have become the Khalifa, and this is where a lot of disputes actually happened. Should Ali radiallahu have become the Khalifa, or Bakr, or this or that? So Allah knows best. In the Middle East, children. Okay. Can you suggest me a good book to read about the Caliphs? Yeah, so there's a good book. If you know Urdu, then there's a good book by Shah Waliullah Dehlawi. So Shah Waliullah Dehlawi has a book that was originally in Farsi, then translated into Urdu and Arabic. Yeah, it's called Izalatul Khafa. Izalatul Khafa. This is probably one of the most detailed books I've come across. And then you can get a book by the four Khalifas by Imam Suyuti. Thank you for your answer. You're welcome, my brother Gandalf the White. I like that name. Zaidu alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, my brother, Sangal there. Abdul Wadud is saying, is Maqra a hadith a practice of the companions? I have not come across it. Allah knows best. Certain people who deny the ascension of Isa alayhi salam and hold other beliefs such as the Dajjal existing, are these people out of the fold of Islam? No, because this is not considered to be an essential belief that every single person should know. It's not considered to be an essential belief. So they'll be considered deviant, but you won't be able to say that these people are out of the fold of Islam. If you wear imama, you'll be treated like a sheikh. If you wear trackies, treated like a jahil in some cases. I thought you were gonna come out with some poem there. How would you define the term khilaf as-sunnah? So khilaf as-sunnah means if something is a widespread sunnah, something that has been used a lot, like the way that we do wudu, we first wash our face and then arms and then wipe the head and wash the feet. That's the sunnah mutawaritha, the widespread sunnah that's been passed down. If anyone goes against this is called khilaf as-sunnah. Right? So it has to be something which is thoroughly established for it to be considered to be a sunnah, for it to be considered khilaf sunnah. If it's just like for example, a person, let's say, doesn't sit on the floor when they eat food, they sit on a chair. then you can't say that's khilaf as-sunnah. I've been told it refers to anything that doesn't conform to the statement or action of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, so it's more to do with something that is thoroughly established as being part of the sunnah. Is it sunnah or more rewarding to recite surah after Fatiha in the third and fourth rakat of Zuhr and Asr? Is it sunnah or more rewarding to recite a surah after? No, it's actually not sunnah to recite. Your favorite seerah book? My favorite seerah book? I don't know. I mean, maybe one that I benefited a lot from was Mona Yusuf Kandilwi's Sirat al-Mustafa. But Sirat ibn Hisham is very good. Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad is very good. Yeah, those are really useful ones. Okay. I only read English. Oh, okay. So then you can probably just get the four Khulafa of Imam Suyuti. Can you give a very easy usul hadith kitab apart from Nuzhatun Nadar? Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen my course on usul fiqh, usul hadith. So I've done a course, 20 lessons or 21 lessons on usul fiqh. That is considered to be I would say, an easy way to start. Okay. Next, just a confusion about the answer, the ascension question. Doesn't it say in the Quran, بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ? Wasn't the question with regards to dissension? Oh, you mean like going up, yeah? Yeah, so again, this is interpreted, isn't it? It's like, it's not qat'i as in. So it's in the Quran, but it's not qat'i, we call dalala, qat'i dalala. As in, did Isa alayhi salam, was he raised physically through his body or was his soul raised? This is where the Mufassirin have mentioned ikhtilaf of some of the early scholars. Yeah, so that's why that for something to be kufr, it has to be qat'iyyu dalala, qat'iyyu thubut, right? So it has to be categorical in text, it has to be categorical in meaning, everyone agrees upon it, when the early scholars, and it also has to be something min daruriyat ad-din, has to be known by everyone as being min daruriyat, just like you know pork is haram and alcohol is haram. You have to know this. Yeah. Is it wajib to recite surah in final two rakats in sunnah salah? Okay, and just before anyone kind of gets some wrong ideas, I believe Isa alayhi salam ascended with his body in the skies, and I believe that he's going to come back. Yeah. So just before anyone gets any excited ideas, is it wajib to recite surah in the final two rakats in sunnah salah? Yes. So would it be better to say it's khilaf sunnah, anything contrary to the sunnah al-huda? That's it. In that case, are there any sins on someone who does that? So this is the thing, isn't it? If a person does not, for the fuqaha say there's khawful ma'tham, like there's fear of ma'tham. So they can't categorically say it's sinful because there's no categorical text to say that it's sinful. But they say it's khawf, or if a person does it excessively. I was trying to read Sirat ibn Hisham and Tarikh al-Khulafa. It's really hard. Can you explain how to get to the level? You need to do a lot of reading, honestly. Just read lots of books, lots of story books, and slowly your level will develop. Yeah, so just read. There's no other. And that's for a lot of students. That's the thing that a lot of students ask is, how do I develop this? Okay, I'm going to go off Instagram. So Instagram people, bye-bye. Assalamu alaikum. All right, so we send salawat, durood to the Prophet ﷺ. There's people who also send al-Fatiha to the Prophet. Is this okay? Yes, it's okay. Fatiha simply just is the reward of that you want to send, the reward. Durood is like a specific dua for the Prophet ﷺ. Disclaimer. That's it, bro. Disclaimer. Yeah, some people call me the Sahib al-Shawarib, the guy with the mustache. The guy with the mustache on YouTube. the Molvi with the mustache on YouTube. Jazakallah khair, Umari, ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Well, Mufti Sahib, even if there was any difference in the early scholars, wasn't there a consensus amongst the later scholars regarding the issue of Isa alayhi salam? I'm sure I read Imam Tahawi. So again, so there is like there being a consensus about a certain thing does not necessarily mean that this will take you out of the fold. So Ibn Abidin rahimahullah has actually talked about this extensively about the concept of ijma. To what level does a type of ijma now become something that's binding in belief? As in, if you reject it, you're out of the fold of Islam. Yeah. So, like, not everything in Aqidah Tahawiyya would be something that would take you out of the fold of Islam. That's the thing. So, a lot of times, what tends to happen is people don't. People, unfortunately, they sort of just come across something as being part of Islamic belief, and then they say, if you don't believe in this, you're out of Islam. But it doesn't work like that, right? I'm just thinking. Um, yeah, maybe I might. See, I don't want to make a video on it because if I make a video on it, and then that video such becomes like just like a match of tennis back and forths, and it just becomes confusing. And it's not good to expose people to something which can become confusing to them, especially in belief. That's why I don't like talking about aqidah issues on my live streams and things like that in detail, because I know a lot of people will not be able to comprehend a lot of the matters, right? A lot of the matters because they're learning it for the first time. They have to learn the foundational concepts first of all in order for them to be able to understand these concepts. So this is the thing. I think it's very important for any sort of like student of knowledge to be careful of how they say that not everything they learn should be said basically to the public. Yeah, you have to explain things at certain degrees. Anzil an-nas manazil lahum. I'm not a poet. Allah, humbleness, bro. If Muhammad was here, brother Muhammad, I wonder where he is. If he was here, he would have come out with something there. What books are What books are there that attributed directly to Imam Abu Hanifa? So some have mentioned like Kitab al-Athar. There's a Kitab al-Athar that's supposed to be attributed to Imam Hanifa, but unfortunately doesn't exist today. And some have attributed Fiqh al-Akbar to Abu Hanifa, but there's an ikhtilaf of whether his student wrote it from him. Yeah. There isn't at the moment books that we have today. We don't have an explicit book that we can point at and say Abu Hanifa wrote this. 100%. Thoughts on Sheikh Hatim Al-Auni. So I think, mashallah, he's a very robust scholar, very thorough. He's very calm. Only thing is, sometimes he comes out with certain matters which I think, require a bit more sort of like a bit more analysis. Yeah. So I don't agree with him on certain things, but I like the way that he sort of like tackles problems that normally people wouldn't delve into, and peel away all the external matters. Yeah. So I think his books are very good for students to read to have a broader understanding of certain topics. I have a few of his books. Galaxy wa alaikum assalam. I have a question about polygamy. If a husband wishes to, or polygamy, you mean? If a husband wishes to have another wife, must he inform his current wife? Not necessarily, not according to Hanafi madhab. But at the same time, he shouldn't deceive his wife as well. He shouldn't like kind of be deceptive, yeah, with his wife. If you can read Qasas al-Nabiyyin 5th volume, can you read Sirat ibn Hisham too? Yes, I think you should be able to. I think if you are able to read volume 5 of Qasas on your own, then you should be able to read that. What do you think stories about Prophet Khidr and Isa alayhi salam killing the Dajjal? Alhamdulillah, I believe in them. Please, can you explain about having waswasa, bad thoughts while in salah? Must we spit thrice? There is a hadith about this. Not in the fard salat, yeah. And even if it is in the nafil salat, it's done dry spit. Yeah, so it's done with dry spit. I would say if you're suffering from waswasa, then I would say if it's really bad, speak to your doctor. Go to your doctor, speak to your doctor about this. Because, it will just escalate. It's not going to get any better. You have to get it treated. Mufti, what is your advice to someone constantly struggling with waswas in wudu salat, so much so that one is distracted? Yeah, honestly, like you might think this is like I'm just trying to get out of this, which I might be as well. But speak to your doctor. Honestly, these matters of waswasa, they are not Islamic matters. They are not matters that are restricted to Islam. Non-Muslims have waswasa problems as well. And you speak to a doctor, the doctor will give you like treatments. Most likely, he's not going to give you like medical treatment. He's going to give you ways of trying to counter it, to overcome it. I've heard, I mean, I don't know how true this is. I've heard having cold, what they call the, cold, wild swimming. They call it wild swimming. So you swim in a lake, a cold lake, not too cold, but and regularly. That sort of helps people overcome OCD. Same thing for Tarikhul Khulafa too. Yes, actually, Tariq Khulafa should be easier. Shukran for answering so many questions. You're welcome, my brother. Must all Muslim women accept the possibility of polygamy even if they do not want this? Yeah, they have to accept it because the Quran says, isn't it? But they don't have to be happy with it. Like something can be in the Quran, but someone is not happy with it. Allah says this in the Quran as well. He says, Asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khayrun lakum. Maybe you dislike something, but it's good for you. Yeah, so someone might dislike getting up for Fajr in the morning, but they know this is part of Islam. And they might even miss their Fajr in the morning, but they know this is part of Islam. Okay, let's check out some curious cat. How many 10 meals must I feed if I cannot quantify one? Are there people in Jahannam or Jannah right now, and how do understand? No, they are not. This was based on being outside of time and space. Yeah, so the hadith with regards to the Prophet saw in Jannah people, they haven't entered Jannah or Jahannam yet. But this is to do with like the Prophet was outside of space and time. Imagine like that. And obviously he could see things that are going to happen. Allah showed him that. Okay. What's the difference between life in the graves of the prophets and the martyrs? Okay, this. All right, next. Most. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam. Muta'allim. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. Galaxy. When people die, are they all in barzakh? Yes. So everyone goes into the life of barzakh. Can you clarify about the Prophet being alive in his grave? Yes. So the Prophet ﷺ is alive in his grave. What kind of life is this? What kind of a life does the Prophet ﷺ have in his grave? This is where some of the scholars differ. Is it considered to be the highest level of the shuhada, or is it even considered to be like a life of sensory life of this world? He can feel things in this world as well. So this is where the scholars differ on this last point. Yeah, but we believe, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah believes the prophets are alive in the grave, all prophets. Happy New Year. May you continue to bless. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, Angela. Thank you very much. May Allah bless you and forgive all of our sins and make us have renewed intentions for all the good acts that we want to do, inshallah. I have heard that polygamy is permissible, but it's not a sunnah, as if it was, then the Prophet ﷺ would encourage it. Is this correct? As in, technically, it's a sunnah in the sense that the Prophet did it, in that sense. But for it to be specifically rewarding or for it to have certain, then yes, you're right. Yeah. And the Quran clearly shows that you marry one if you know you can't do justice to more than one, then you just marry one. What is the reward for comforting a grieving mother? Is there a hadith about this? Yes. Google it. Google it, you'll find a hadith. There's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says that whoever comforts a person who's lost a child, Allah will comfort them on the Day of Judgment. Someone asked me about slavery in Islam. How can I find it? So what you do is check out the videos by Sapiens Institute. So Sapiens Institute, and Yaqeen Institute. These are two institutes that have done papers on this, yeah, about slavery. Check them out. Ustad, is it allowed to just wish to not have polygamy for oneself, even if they are happy with the Islamic possibility? Yes. Are there any books that you are currently reading, Sab? Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, quite a few books I'm reading. A lot of these books are to do with my own like research I'm doing on the books I teach. So when I, like, for example, teach Hidayah on Wednesdays, I read probably somewhere between maybe 5 to 10 books. I read 5 to 10 books, preparation of the lesson, and then besides that, there's also other books. Um, like for example, just reading recently Jami' al-Masanid, which is a compilation of works on the Hadith of Imam Hanifa, and also certain works on like I've read some books before, but I just like reread some of these books again, like a book by Abdul Rashid Nu'mani on Sunnah ibn Majah, and also yeah, well, no, I can't think on the top of my head, but quite a few. Again, some of these books I don't read cover to cover. Some of these books I'll just read certain chapters, certain sections in there. But it just depends what I'm reading into, what I'm interested in. So at the moment, like someone asked me a question recently. I don't know, he hasn't come on today. Good me, I think his name is Good me, about Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Bukhari's position on Imam Abu Hanifa. So I was doing a lot of reading on that. Yeah, because I mean, I was going to answer the question, but then I thought, you know what, I'll just like a thorough, and mashallah, I found a lot of good works on this topic. Maybe in the future I might do some videos on it. And off put from it is making me anxious and pressured as a non-married person. And first of all, get married, my brother. Yeah, first of all, get married, and then inshallah you worry about the rest. I've heard a few negative statements about Sheikh Omar Suleiman. I'm not backbiting, was just curious as I'm very confused. Should I listen to? I wouldn't see a problem. I've met him. He seemed like a very good guy. And there's no scholar in the world that you should worship, of course. If you had to worship a person, we would worship the Prophet ﷺ. And even there, we're not allowed to worship the Prophet ﷺ. So the only individuals that we should hold as in high esteem and find no faults in is the Prophet ﷺ. After him is the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and then those who come after them. So I would say, look, if there's a particular scholar, whether it's Sheikh Suleiman, whether it's Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, whether it's Sheikh, any other Sheikh in the world, learn the good from them and don't make them into like you don't become a fan of them. Yeah, end of the day, because if they do something wrong, right, you don't want to kind of like try to justify the wrong that they do. We badly need the Arabic podcast back, Abdul Hakim, inshallah. I know, bro. I need to start it again. I'm thinking maybe Fridays comes really difficult for me, so maybe I might move it on to Thursdays. I'll speak to I'll speak to the guys, see what they say. Maybe Thursdays might be a bit easier. Yeah, just maybe have like a 1 hour session. I have great benefit from Imam Suleiman. Some people over exaggerate their mistakes. Yeah, exactly. Everyone has mistakes. All scholars have mistakes, and the answers that they've given to people. No one is free of mistakes. You can say, except for the Prophet ﷺ. Anyway, guys, Jazakumullah khairan. MashaAllah. This was a wonderful chatting experience with you guys. Okay. Let's see if there's any curious kind that I've missed out. Okay, like Hanbalis, could a Hanafi woman say she doesn't want her husband to have a second wife? Yes. Yeah, a woman has the full right to say that she doesn't want. Okay. When we say ijma, does it mean all the Sahabas unanimously? That's one form of ijma. So does ijma mean that all the Sahaba have to agree with this? And there are other forms. Okay, so this one form of ijma. Ijma is a big topic. Again, like when you guys ask me, can you explain this? Sometimes I can't explain that particular topic because it's quite big and we don't have much time and it requires a dars. It's better to enroll in a course that does this kind of. Sometimes I go on all social media accounts and I look at people. Nice. If someone omits a sajda by accident, at what point do they add the sajda? Any time before giving salam. Okay, when a baby or small child is crying while the mother is praying in Jama'ah, is she allowed to pick up a child to stop the distraction impacting others? I read that it is not allowed because the baby has filth. Uh, she, if the baby has filth, then no. Otherwise, she can, or she simply breaks her salah and starts. Okay, that's done. Da, 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 da. Okay, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Yes. My New Year's resolution is not to waste time. I sometimes I waste certain time just like do something. You know, I should have only spent like 5 minutes on. I end up spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes on. So I'm gonna try to become more disciplined in my time. I think that's probably one. And also with my videos, some of you guys have been mentioning that I don't finish some of the series off. I'm gonna try this year. I'm gonna try to at least focus on a limited number of series, so I can try to finish them or at least continue them. Like the Fawzul Kabir one, inshallah, this year I'm gonna try to make it more consistent. What's yours, Zed? A big encouragement for my Arabic learning was going to Morocco and accidentally asking the food, "What are you called?" instead of asking the street vendor, "What?" MashaAllah. So what was their response? Any advice for a person doing part-time studies? I go for job interviews and they wonder what I do in my time and why I don't work full time. I mean, I don't know. Just be honest with them. Yeah, depends what kind of job it is. I find sometimes when you're honest with people and you show them, look, this is I'm very particular about learning about my religion. Um, yeah, then people will respect it, whether they like you or not. That's up to them. But if you are firm in your principles, people respect you for that. Can a woman exit takes steps towards exiting marriage if her husband wishes to have another wife? Possibly, possibly. There might be grounds if she's not being treated well. If we very much uh, okay. We very much appreciate your precious time every week. Your channel has immense benefits for us, and you're surely in our du'as. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah. Beautiful dua that is Allah accepted from all of us. Really means a lot to me when you guys mention that. Do you think Muslims should have an Islamic calendar with them alongside Gregorian calendar? Many do not know Islamic. I don't think it's necessary. It's not necessary. It was just there for practical purposes. Like in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was no Islamic calendar. It was actually invented in the time of Umar radiallahu anhu. So it's good to know the dates, obviously, Islamic when Ramadan's coming, when Hajj is coming, and all that. But besides that, you don't really need to know. When you say that one could read Sirah ibn Hisham and Tariq al-Khulafa, do you also mean that their student would have the necessary vocab too? Yeah, I mean, that's as long as you can read something 70% of a page, 80% of a page, I say you can read that book. Since the vocab of that time is pretty old, that's why I'm asking. Yeah, so you'll have to use a dictionary. Is going out without hijab but her body is covered or isn't catching still sinful? Yes. Okay, when was the era Islamic economics has been proven a successful system? I don't know. Assalamu alaikum Ibn Adam. Is it allowed to say Happy New Year? I wouldn't see a problem with it because it's not associated with something religious. Any advice for a person who feels bad when they receive compliments or feel they have imposter syndrome relating to? It's just a natural. In a hadith, it comes, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that when a person's praised and they feel happy inside, this is actually like an early gift from Allah. Yeah, but if you're expecting that, if you're saying it to get people to praise you, then that's something that you should work on. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna finish it there. Jazakumullah khair. I will see you guys next year. This year, I'm not gonna see you for the rest of the year now. Okay, so it's end of the year. I'm not gonna see you for the rest of the year now. So I hope you guys have a good life. I will see you guys next year, which means I will see you guys next week. And have a nice, wonderful week. Watch out for the videos. Hopefully, the videos are coming back, inshallah, because my holidays are over. And that's it. Take care, inshallah. Have a wonderful time. Remember your du'as as well. And see you in 2023 as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi